Diablo 4 monetization plans leaked. Force Gaming has been, he was huge with New World. Like, this guy, in my opinion, is, I take what he says pretty seriously. I like his videos a lot, and we're going to take a look at what he has to say about the Diablo 4 monetization plans. Whenever I saw this, I actually Googled it. I didn't really find a whole lot, so I'm not sure what exactly he's going to talk about.
We got some pretty big news.
Please be pay to win. Oh, I hope so.
For Diablo 4 today, thanks to surveys Blizzard has been sending out, hinting at...
Okay, so this is probably in some European language. There's no V's and W's, and everything doesn't look misspelled, so it's probably not Polish, but maybe German? I don't know. Yeah, I think German, yeah. So these are option A, B, and C. So this is, okay, so they're doing the same paradigm as World of Warcraft, where you can get, like, the base game, the heroic game, or the mythic game.
Some of their specific plans for monetization. On top of that, there were also a few leaks from the Friends and Family alpha test showcasing character customization, difficulty options, info about looting, and in-game trading, or the lack thereof. But let's go ahead and start out with everyone's favorite topic first.
Pay to win.
That is monetization.
Okay.
Apparently, Blizzard has been sending out customer surveys recently, displaying various pre-order and special edition bundles for Diablo 4. The first one of these actually surfaced earlier in the month on October 3rd when a screenshot of a Korean survey leaked, but being in Korean and just a screen grab that was only reported on a Korean site that I was unfamiliar with was kind of hard for me to verify the legitimacy. However, just yesterday, a complete version of this survey in German was posted online. This not only appears to verify the Korean one from a few weeks back, but it's also more understandable to me knowing a little bit of German. Oder auf Deutsch, ich verstehe ein bisschen Deutsch. Not that that is necessary, because Google Translate exists, of course. Okay.
My dad knows German. My family on my dad's side is German, so I'm sure he could probably read it, probably half of it. But I don't know. I don't know any myself.
Okay, so specifically, the survey presents various pre-order bundles, asking users which would they prefer.
Right.
From this, we now have a list of at least some of
Okay, wait a second. Oh, Mount Armor. We're getting right back down to the fucking beginning, aren't we? Holy fucking shit. Back ornament, platinum, in-game currency that can be used to purchase current and future cosmetic items. Okay, a battle pass with premium rewards for playing, cosmetic-only rewards, early access to the game. Oh, wow, so you can play the game early. Now, that's tremendous. Because the thing is, like, a game, and if it has limited trading, it won't be that big of a deal. But the odds are that they, like, what was leaked is that the limited trading only existed for unique items, and unique items will not manifest themselves until maybe 5 or 6 days into the expansion, so, or into the game release. So if you buy the game and you get it early, you will be able to have all of those low-level items that you can sell at a premium that are rare and blue items to new players that start playing the game on the second wave of the release and on the actual release of the game. So this actually does give you a tremendous advantage. Like, I think you can look at a lot of parallels. Like, yeah, anybody who's played PoE, like beginning of League, like, you know, like beginning of League, like they're making changes now with like Exalted and Divine Orb. So like, I don't know what it's going to be like now. But remember back in the day, like maybe a year ago, Exalts are always really cheap at the beginning, and then they get more expensive. And then Chaos Orbs are always really expensive at the beginning, and then they get cheaper. So it's the same general thing. Is if you're able to make a tremendous amount of money. Like if you get rare, like tier 16 maps, like you get I watched a video of this guy that sold like Death and Taxes, which is like one of the most annoying fucking maps ever in PoE, and he got a headhunter on like day 1 or 2 from just selling Death and Taxes maps. Whereas Death and Taxes, 2 weeks after League release, is like 10C. 10 Chaos Orbs, which is like nothing comparatively. Yeah, head start in MMO is tremendous. Like, that's all I'm really trying to say, is getting a head start in the game is actually a massive advantage. And if you understand the way that the economies work in the games, you will see how beneficial it is. And I think PoE is a great parallel to compare them.
what they are intending to sell. The short of which is this: there will be a box price, of course. This will vary depending on the bundle, plus the following items will be available for purchase. Cosmetic armor for your characters that, according to the survey, has an unlimited number of uses, and being cosmetic, we will assume it will not affect gameplay. Mounts will...
That's fine. I think that selling, if you're going to have a game that you regularly update, I think that selling cosmetics is completely fine. The problem is that they never said that the cosmetics were BOP. There were games like Lost Ark, for example, you can buy cosmetics and sell them. In Black Desert, you used to be able to buy armor sets and sell them. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's, you still can. Yeah, but it was like one of the first ways. I remember whenever they did it and people were complaining, it's like, oh, it's pay to win now. And, I think that that's a very important little distinction.
Will be available for sale. Interesting note here, they say that this feature unlocks after completing the campaign, but of course you'll be able to buy a mount before you can use it. Duh. Mount armor as well, which they say is cosmetic only and has no effect on gameplay. Back adornments such as cloaks and wings, again, they say this has no effect on gameplay. Now for some of the fun stuff. There will be platinum. This is an in-game currency that can be used to purchase existing and future cosmetics from the cash shop.
So this is the obfuscation mechanic. Basically, platinum is being used in lieu of United States dollars or European, EU, euros, whatever the fuck it is, or whatever. The reason why they have this is that, oh, it's not $17, it's 1,000 platinum, and people are like, oh, 1,000 platinum, it's not that much. No, they don't really know how much money they're spending.
A battle pass, which contains both free and a paid track, rewarding cosmetic only rewards. They are really driving that home in this survey. And then finally, early access will be for sale. Depending on the bundle you purchase, you will get either 2 or 7 days of a head start.
So okay, let's talk about cosmetics. I think that if you're selling cosmetics, it's totally okay, even if the game has a box price, because the game will be continually developed throughout the existence of the game. And I think also it's a very good way for players and consumers to say 7-day head start. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But first thing I want to talk about the cosmetics is that there is never, like, I want Blizzard to come out and I want them to say definitively that you will not be able to sell or transfer any item between players for gold that is cosmetic that you can obtain on the store. Like, I want them to very clearly and explicitly say that, because I think that, you know, again, Lost Ark does this. It's a fucking roundabout way of pay to win. World of Warcraft does this. You buy tokens and then you buy the gear, right, on the auction house or something like that, or you buy tokens and you pay somebody to carry you. So that's the thing. BDO does this. A lot of games do this. So I got a bit of taste with the cake of the mortal. Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably what's going to happen. For gold or for invites to appear on stream. Well, I think that it's also just anything that you can spend real money on that can be translated in a transactional way into an in-game advantage. Because you guys remember Diablo 3, what was one of the most expensive things in Diablo 3? It was gems. It wasn't even gear. Gems were the thing that was like super fucking expensive. You needed so many fucking gems to get like a flawless pristine. I remember I finally got my first green one that gave me like 100% crit chance or whatever. It was fucking massive. And you can buy and sell gems, I'm assuming, in Diablo. And so that's probably going to be okay. And the reason why I think that is that, you know, like, gems are not legendary unique items. They're just, you know, like basically a commodity, but they're also valuable. So I don't know, man. I don't know. A perfect manticore was expensive as fuck. A perfect manticore was expensive as fuck, but there was also 1,000 other bows that had crit damage, crit strike, and attack power, and a socket that were equally or sometimes more expensive. So, like, that's what ended up happening. Like, with Diablo 3, you guys remember this, and this is the same thing with PoE. Even Chris Wilson talked about this in the recent announcement, is that he viewed it as a problem that a lot of the uniques were garbage. And with original Diablo 3, this was the same problem. Yes, you had things like Witching Hour. Yes, you had things like Andariel's Vision. But you also had a lot of other ones that were just literal fucking dog shit. And the odds are that a lot of the items that like the top players had were either like just perfect uniques or you know, just like perfectly rolls rare items, because rare items effectively could roll the same stats as unique minus a few special items. Scorn, yeah, Scorn, the two-handed axe. I remember that. I had that one.
So the bundle prices ranged from 40 to 150 euros.
Sorry. Well, I'm going to let him get in talk a little bit about the head start, but I think a 7-day head start is the same thing as pay to win, personally. I think a 2-day head start is pretty close to it. I feel like Lost Ark was really on the edge with having a 3-day head start. Any head start. I think a head start is not necessarily bad because it gives the developer time to stagger out the releases of the servers. So you don't have like a massive, like effectively a run on the bank. I get why they want to do head starts, but I also think that it's something that is good for developers, and it offers no functional advantage, or there is no value add or value proposition for the player. There's only a value loss by not putting everybody on the equal playing field.
And the survey was several pages long, presenting different price and offering configurations, at the bottom of which the users were asked to select which of these they preferred. And I assume everyone just picked the cheapest options that gave the most amount of stuff because, of course, I mean, I get it, they're doing market research, but it's also just a little bit funny to me. Like, yeah, I'm going to pick the cheapest one that's got the most things included in it. That is the option. Just automatically select it for me, survey, okay? Now, as to the contents of the survey, what it reveals, and what I think about it, we have known, of course, since Diablo 4 was announced, that the game would have cosmetic microtransactions in addition to its base box price. Although part of me had hoped that they wouldn't go down the path of monetizing every type of cosmetic in the game. It seemed
I wonder why he thought that wouldn't happen. I mean, yeah, I wonder why would he possibly think that? Because you've got back, like, what are they going to do? They're going to do the exact thing that PoE does. They're going to monetize spell variants, probably. They're going to monetize the mounts. They'll monetize the armor. They'll probably monetize crests or some sort of like character frame thing. They'll just do what PoE does.
It's like that is going to be the case. We've got skins for character armor, weapons were mentioned, cloaks, the back adornments, and mounts. I mean, that is just about everything you could sell a cosmetic for, short of them having skins for like your attacks and your spells.
That's
totally
not coming
possible
till
that's
later.
Coming down the road. But yeah, they've got skins for literally just about every type of cosmetic that exists in the game attached to our characters. Although I was hoping that they wouldn't sell cosmetics for all of these things,
I think that it's only bad whenever the cosmetics are the only cool thing in the game. PoE, I think, is on the borderline of this, because you do have really cool looking items like Starforge, you have Calm's Heart, Calm's Roots. Let's see, what are some of the other really cool items in PoE? The Brass Dome, right? Like, that one looks really cool. Maven Helmet, maybe Tabula Rasa, I don't think so. Aegis Aurora, Ivory Tower, Cosprey's Malice. There's another one. So as long as you have, like, Steven from Ashes of Creation actually said it the best way, is that cosmetic items are totally okay, but whenever the cosmetic items completely overshadow the in-game items, that's whenever you have a problem. Like, New World, ironically, actually did a great job with this. The New World cosmetics that are on the shop generally are pretty hit and miss, and I think some of the items in game look pretty cool. So there's like some level of parity between that.
I'm also not surprised. I assumed we would be getting some variation of these different elements. We're getting all of them, but I assumed as much. Again, not surprising.
Of course.
However, as is so commonly the case in a lot of AAA live service games nowadays, they had to go.
I also want to say that a lot of people that were telling me, like, oh, well, Diablo 4 is going to be totally different than Diablo Immortal, you're just being a fucking doomer, like some weirdo, and, you know, you're just trying to farm hate. Don't you find it ironic that they're using the same word platinum, which was not used in any other game for World of Warcraft or any of their other fantasy games at all, as far as I know, and now they are using the same word platinum in a sort of like reserved context of currency in the same way that it existed inside of Diablo Immortal? I mean, you know, isn't that a fucking convenient, isn't that it's a pure coincidence, you're right. A pure coincidence. Warframe? Oh, Warframe was made by Blizzard. Thanks, I forgot about that.
That extra mile, and they are selling a season pass in addition to early access, and it's just so disappointing. That's on me, I guess, because Blizzard doesn't have a track record that should inspire optimism as of now, right? But here's the thing, like, on their own, season passes are frustrating systems designed to induce FOMO and get you playing every day so as not to miss out on your rewards. I mean, it sounds like I'm reading from a dictionary definition here, and I know you have all heard this spiel before. I'm sure you get the railing against battle passes and why they're an issue. I don't need to retread this ground, but I will say this: although I dislike the trend of so many live service games having these, seeing a battle pass in a free-to-play game like Fortnite, I get it. The game is free, and so a season pass functions almost like a subscription that a lot of players will spend $10 to $20 on every like 1 to 3 months, depending on the game and the season length and all of that. But here's the thing: Diablo 4 has a base box price. At the minimum, it looks like it's going to be $40. I'll assume that it'll be $50 or
I'm assuming $60. Like I think $50 or
$60 probably.
Yeah, there you go. It's going to be my money. I think that the thing is that the difference between Fortnite and Diablo 4 is that Fortnite, the free-to-play version of Fortnite, and the same thing with Warzone, offers no additional content. Like, there's no campaign, there's nothing to it. So effectively with like Diablo Immortal, or sorry, excuse me, Freudian slip there. With Diablo 4, you're getting the campaign and you're actually getting content that exists at a baseline, and you could logically make the extension that the content that exists and is added in the future is what the battle passes and cosmetic things are there for.
$60 games, let me just say this, $60 games should not have battle passes. That's my far out, right?
I don't know if I completely agree with that. I don't think that I do. If a game is being continuously developed over years, $60 is probably not enough to fund that continuous development in perpetuity. Also, $60 for a game was first introduced in Xbox 360 era, Xbox 360, PS3, those types of systems, and those came out in somewhere around 2005, 2006, maybe 2000. I know probably not later than 2008. Think about anything else out in the world that you bought in 2007 that costs the same amount now. Almost nothing. But the problem is that gamers are very inelastic. They're not willing to pay as much money as inflation has required that games cost to make. So I think that it makes sense that they're going to have these extra things because they can't charge $90 for a video game. They can't charge $100 for a video game anymore because people just refuse to pay it. You see what I'm saying? Like, like video games actually have not increased in price a lot at all in the past 15 or so years. Like in 2007, I think video games cost about the same box price as they cost now. Because our wages aren't increasing? No, wages are absolutely increasing. Like, I'm not going to listen to that. I went to Five Guys and they had on the door that they were going to pay people $16 an hour. Fucking 15 years ago, they were not paying people $16 an hour at Five Guys. Like, I remember because I was looking for a job then. Real wages aren't increasing? Oh, so you're using the logic of like, because like, so you're saying like I know all the charts, guys. Like I know all the charts. I know that wages and productivity has stagnated ever since like the fucking 80s or whatever. I know all this. But what I'm saying is that even despite that stagnation, the number has gone up. But that number has not gone up with games. It just simply has not. Like I was looking for a job, not all the time, but I was looking for a job very regularly back in like 2008 to 2011, right? Before I started working at the IRS. I was looking for jobs constantly. I could not find a fucking job that would pay me over $10 an hour. Now, a lot of places pay over $10 an hour. That's just a fucking fact. Now, I'm not gonna say that my personal experience living in my part of Austin, Texas is the same in the entire fucking country. But all I'm saying is that on a personal level, this is what I've seen. And I think that wages have generally gone up. But wages probably have not gone up at the same rate of inflation. But we're not talking about wages. What we're talking about is the price of video games. The price of video games has not gone up, but inflation has. So it makes sense that video games will find other ways to make money in order to sustain the same general level of profit. Games in 2007 were just overpriced a lot because it was a niche market. Games are just overpriced. I mean, but people paid it. Like, nobody complained about Halo 3 being expensive. They just bought Halo 3. Nobody complained about a lot of the games being expensive. They just bought them. It takes a lot of games, cost $80 to $100, $1,200. If it takes my games to cost $80 to $120 to not have bullshit gambling trash, I'm all for it. No, people aren't going to spend... nobody's going to spend $100 on a video game. Like, unless it's the new God of War or like a handful of other games, nobody's going to do this.
Especially a $6 game that also has an in-game cosmetic shop should definitely not have a battle pass. That's where I'm coming from here. And speaking of the shop, of course, it's going to have its own digital premium currency, as mentioned in the survey. We've got this thing called Platinum, which, by the way, you 100% can guarantee will be offered in bundles that are just shy of the price of the items that they're expecting you to want to buy, because that's the entire reason in-game shops and games have digital currencies. They could just sell you the skin for $20, but why do that when they could sell the skin for 10 platinum coins? But that $20 bundle only gives you 8 platinum coins. Oh, shucks. Guess I'll have to buy another $20 bundle. But then after purchasing the skin that costs 10 coins, you now have 6 coins left. What are you going to buy with that?
Well, there's something else for 9 coins that you can buy, but then you already have 6, so you might as well get the 4 bundle, but now you have 1 left over. So, well, I can buy 1 more, and then I can get the horse flag. It's like, okay, well, so now you're spending $50.
Absolutely nothing. So fork up another $20. On top of that, they'll probably toss you a few pity platinum coins here and there, but it's not them doing you a favor as much as it is trying to get you to think, well, gee, hey, now I got 3 free coins. I only need 7 more for that cool skin, so let me buy another one of those $20 bundles. And please try not to just roll your eyes and think I'm being hyperbolic here. This is literally...
It's not hyperbolic at all. It's what makes sense, because it would be the best way to get people to spend money. It works with free trials for everything, whether it's a free trial for a news service, free trial for a video game, or a free trial for crack. Everything has a free trial where you get part of it and then they take it away from you, or they put it into perspective and they're like, oh, well, you know, it's going to get you all the way in. It's scummy, though, because it works. The thing is, like, I don't really care about whether something is scummy or not, because if you worry about whether something's scummy or not, all you're going to do is just get upset and mad all the time, because everybody does scummy things for everything, and people are animals that are evolved to survive, and the people that are the best at it are the ones that are doing it the most. So whether you get, like, it doesn't really matter whether you like it or not. It's just what's going to happen.
The exact reason digital currencies exist in games. That is the purpose. It's kind of like gift cards, right? Like, they're expecting you to have money left over that you in your account that you eventually forget about and just never.
And so I want to say one thing. So it's not always scummy. Final Fantasy XIV is actually fantastic. So Final Fantasy XIV is made by Square Enix, and Square Enix also has Square Enix literally sells NFTs. So they view Final Fantasy as effectively, like, it's almost like donating to charity after you've, it's like, oh, wow, you know, this place, it's like the United States, like, oh, we accidentally bombed a village. Well, yeah, but we helped another village, you know, build a windmill so they can have running water now. So they're always trying to do something to offset something else bad. So if you look at Final Fantasy in the bubble of just Final Fantasy XIV, you're completely right. But I would argue that Square Enix views Final Fantasy XIV as something that builds goodwill with the player base, so they can exploit that goodwill later on for many other things that are consumer unfriendly, whether it's something like the Marvel game, a cloud NFT, or whatever else they're going to come up with in the metaverse. So that's just how it works. So I understand what you're saying, but please look at it in context.
For use. That's the entire point. That's how gift cards work. That's how these spend your dollars to turn into this currency, and then that currency turns into purchase, but you never quite get enough for the purchase, so eventually you'll just have money sitting in there and they just get it for free. It's not like it was like we're buying digital items, right? We're talking about data here. They're trying to siphon money
Nothing's worth
off
anything.
of that, in addition to the fact that they're charging you for it. It's a whole thing. Anyway, none of this is surprising, unfortunately. It's also not unique to Diablo 4.
No,
a lot
it's
of
not.
games
It's very
do
common.
all of this and much more. In fact, many games go a lot further in terms of how far-reaching they are with their monetization.
Like the last
And
Diablo
if nothing
game?
else, I'm not going to have an entirely negative slant here, because that's just not how I function, right? I'm happy to see that they have stuck to cosmetic only. Based on this survey, they're living up to the word of not having things.
How is it that nobody else has picked up on the fact that you can trade cosmetics in other games? I feel like I'm like the only person that's ever said this. Like this does not fucking reassure me.
Affect the gameplay, just visuals, and that is good. As of yet, they appear to be keeping to their promise.
That's it,
The survey
too. I
does
hope
not
so.
show any pay-to-win or pay-for-convenience features as of yet.
I would argue that being able to play the game a week early is, if nothing else, pay for convenience. And if you understand how economies work, and especially emerging economies, and being able to have a control over a certain resource very early on, because there's going to be less competition, there's less people on the server, and you have more of those resources, and then whenever there are more people on the server, let's say there's like an egg and it respawns every 5 minutes, and you farm out, you've only got 3 people to compete with, you farm it out for fucking 5 hours, so let's say you get, I don't know, 2 hours worth of eggs, so you have 70 eggs, but then whenever the game comes out, you're having 80 people that are sitting there farming the same egg, and they're only getting 2 eggs every 5 hours, and then they're buying your eggs that you were able to get 60 in 5 hours for the same value comparatively that the labor that it would take for them to get the 2 eggs per 5 hours. So people, like, again, like, it's the economies. You have to understand it, and if you don't, you're going to get finessed. It took me years to figure out the PoE economy, but there is a reason why people make a mirror on day one, and it's not because they get lucky. It's because they know what the fuck they're doing. And the fact is that there's going to be enough people on each different server, they're going to be able to do that every single time. Trickle-down economics. Yeah, there you go. People say a week, but actually do this in every new game to farm new games out all of you all day. Yeah. Let's be honest, Dreamland and assume Diablo 4 won't have some sort of pay to win. I hope it won't. I really do. But what I'm saying is that can you guys see how even just having more players in a zone farming for an item, and the item not having a dynamic respawn based on the amount of people that exist in the zone dynamically, that will increase the value of the item. So having a head start is tremendously advantageous. And you have like a force multiplier. So you have like the force multiplier of the person that gets the head start, the person who's leveling faster, the person who understands farming better. So you're using like a 3x multiplier. It's like we're doing dead here, right? Like, we're looking at like a 20x multiplier on profits. I did this back whenever Wrath of the Lich King came out. I was one of the first people that had, I was like level 77, and I farmed out like fucking enough titanium to last me for the entire expansion, because I sold it all for like premium prices because nobody else could go to Ice Crown or Storm Peaks and farm it out.
No buying character slots or inventory space or materials or experience potions, none of that. I think the part that's frustrating for me and why I kind of got a bit worked up was that I expect better from Blizzard. That's all it is, really. I probably shouldn't, like, that's well established by now. Blizzard hasn't done much to still...
I think that any AAA game, you should expect it to be completely fucking predatory. Like, the only games that you can expect that won't be predatory are games that are made by smaller development studios or indie games. You get something like Vampire Survivors. You get something like V Rising. You get something like a... let me think. I mean, I'm sure there's a few other games too, but those are the first two that come off the top of my head. God of War. Well, yeah, you'll have some that are like that too in God of War, like Elden Ring. Every once in a while, it's not that you never have dubs. It's that the dubs are not very common. Okay, like we're always dealing in. Like, Elden Ring was a pleasant surprise, but don't forget that Elden Ring was an oasis in the middle of a desert.
Us with much confidence, and the truth is they are just falling in line with what is currently standard monetization practice for AAA live service games. They are not
exactly, and that's just, again, I think that some of it is reasonable. because you do need to pay people to continuously maintain the game. Servers cost money, of course, right? There are just certain realities. However, if players buy the game and if people are okay with the game, and I think this will always be the case, in my opinion, I think that if Diablo 3 had gacha elements in it, or Diablo 4 had gacha elements in it, it would probably make more money and people would complain about it a little bit and then people would just keep playing it. If the game is good, people will continue playing it. If the game is bad, people will not continue playing it. Monetization generally does not make or break a game, I think, unless it is just completely over the line. Diablo Immortal died not because it was overly monetized, but because it was bad. Lost Ark is overly monetized, but it's good and people play Lost Ark. It died? Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot less people play Diablo Immortal than they did. Now, obviously, it might go up again in time, but it's undeniable that, especially towards a PC audience, Diablo Immortal was a fundamentally bad game.
Straying far from that line. They're not straying at all. If anything, like I said, they are below it. They are not selling any pay-for-convenience features as of right now. But it's just, you know, again, it's just the same old story.
Yeah.
Grew up with the company, grew up playing these games,
yeah.
StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo, and there's this level of expectation that comes with it. I am not surprised when some pay-to-win MMO
Tower
cash
Fantasy.
grab comes out. Like,
Tower
I don't
Fantasy.
get worked up by it because my expectation bar is super low.
And that's what the problem is that people don't understand that each of those games break the ice a little bit more. It's getting your foot in the door, it's normalizing the practice to consumers, and it is just slowly making it more and more common. Now, I think this is a good thing. I do. I think that the more normalized it gets, the better. The more people do it, the better. Because I think that the reason why pay-to-win games exist in the feature in the way that they do now is that not enough people are educated in the way that they work. And because of that, they don't understand how they're manipulative. And I think that pay to win has to get a lot worse before it gets better, because it is not, it's not at the point where enough people understand it on a fundamental level that can actually enact change about it. Acceleration, yes, unironically, yes. I think people need to, the more people know about it, the better. The more people that play it, the better. And I think that that's the only way it'll ever change, because I just see this as like a very slow growing cancer in gaming. And you can't, it's so small that people are pretending like it's not there.
And in spite of everything, I still have an
yes.
expectation bar above that for Blizzard. And so just seeing them monetize literally every possible cosmetic and then add a season pass and then make sure that the shop has that digital currency. And then
Right.
I didn't even touch on the early access stuff. It's
Yeah,
just,
I'm actually, I want to hear his opinion on that. It gets better. It's not how it works. The only way that it will ever get better is if there's legislation against it. Gamers have literally zero fucking self-respect, and they have even less self-control. The moment that a 3-minute cinematic comes out that gives them chills, they're going to pre-order the game, even if they spent the last 10 years fucking, you know, telling everybody how great Total Biscuit was because he said never pre-order games. They're going to immediately pre-order the next game. They're going to do it in a second. So, like, the idea that, oh, well, fucking, they're going to understand. No. Fucking, in my viewpoint, accelerate things, radicalize things to the biggest extreme possible, prove to everybody, show how fucking horrible it is at the maximum level, and then maybe people will start listening. Because right now it's too flaccid. It's too passive. That's how I see it. Didn't Diablo Immortal do this? I think Diablo Immortal did accelerate people's awareness of predatory games. I do. I genuinely think that.
it's disappointing. I don't know, but that's on me. I gotta drop the expectations. I should keep them low.
That's cool.
Keep it low. If I say it enough times, it'll sink in, right? And you know, when it comes to early access, also whatever. And they're gracing us with the opportunity to spend money to spread out the server load so that they don't run into.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they do it. Do you think communism will solve us all these problems? Well, of course it would, because you don't have any problems when you're dead.
The same issue they had with Diablo 3, where nobody could play for like a week straight. You can spend money to help with with that. Or you
remember
can
that.
spend money for that early access when things are still busted and you won't even get to play the game. Anyways, I was going to include a whole section here where we were going to like estimate the price of the cosmetics. Basically, I was just going to deduct the base price of the game. Let's say it's $40 from the bundle cost, and then look at what the cosmetics included within those bundles.
Bro, like, I don't even know why you're talking about like a theoretical. Just look at what they charge for Dragonflight. It's going to be like $90 for the Super Premium Deluxe Hellraiser Edition. That's what it's going to be.
Would be for that extra amount of money. But this is also kind of pointless, as these pre-orders and special editions, typically they offer like significantly better value than if you were to purchase these things outright from the in-game store.
Exactly.
So say maybe you can get a $30 skin in your bundle, but that bundle...
I want to remind everybody that all skins have the exact same value. $0.00. None of them have any value at all. All they have to do to make a new skin is to do Control-C and Control-V. There's no value at all with any digital currency that exists in these games. Any digital item, zero value.
Cost $10 extra over the price of the game, something like that. So essentially, the point is, there's no way to like accurately guess the skin cost from these different bundling offerings. It's
Probably
just all completely wild guessings. If I were to ballpark it, though, I would say average looking skins will be like $10 to $20. Some of the cooler ones,
35.
like the premium skins, the glowy ones
35.
with all the neon lights and stuff, probably $30 to $50, somewhere around there. That's kind of what a lot of games do nowadays with these cosmetic offerings. As to whether or not this survey is legitimate, like, can we trust any of this information? We, of course, cannot be 100% certain. There's no way we can know for sure unless the surveys start going out in mass to a ton of people and they all start posting it. At this point, we've only seen a few occurrences, but I will say...
Well, the thing is, like, what they're doing the survey for is that a lot of people don't understand that Diablo Immortal... Let's look at how many people... Diablo 3 sales. So Diablo 3 has sold 30 million... fastest selling PC game, 3.5 million copies in the first 24 hours of the game. So Diablo 4 sold over 3 million copies in the first 24 hours of the game. So you think about the amount of people that have watched this video, right? 175. This video is pretty popular. I assume it'll probably get to like 200, 300, 400,000 views. I'll make a video about it, and collectively, all of the rest of us talking about it might equal 1 million. Like 1 or 2 million people. So half of the people that buy the game, if you use the Diablo 3 statistics, which I do think is not a very good comparison, but it's just a rough comparison, most people will never even hear you whenever you complain about monetization. You are yelling into a void. You are preaching to the choir. Everybody here that is watching the stream is already on the same side with this. But there is no way that we can get that, we can get the microphone to be loud enough for the casual Andes that are just going to see, oh, Diablo 4, I used to play that whenever I was in high school. Diablo 2, okay, let's buy this. That's it. And so, like, it's a concentric circle of how many people are actually playing these games and care. And I think that for games like Diablo 4, because they're just they're so prevalent. Like, you think about how massive the Diablo franchise is, whenever you really think about it, there is no type of monetization that would kill this game, because there are so many people that are they won't know or care about it. They will just buy the game.
The fact that these come from surveys sent out to different regions in different languages, and that the first one was like a cut-off screenshot, but the most recent one showed the survey in its entirety, I think this is a pretty solid chance that this is authentic. We've had some additional bits of corroborating evidence as well. In some of the Reddit threads about these...
I think another very good example is that Blizzard has already done polling in World of Warcraft, asking players how they would feel about like a level 70 boost in Burning Crusade. I'm sure I made a video about it 2 or 3 years ago whenever it happened. So they do preliminary polling like this all the time. Like, it's common sense for any company to do this. And they did it with Classic WoW, they did it with Burning Crusade, and again with Wrath, and it just makes sense they're going to do it with Diablo 4 because it's the same company, so you'd assume it's the same type of marketing.
Leaked surveys, I saw several commenters claiming that they got sent the exact same thing. But then beyond that, You should also be aware that surveys like this are very common. Blizzard does it all the time. Earlier in the year, they had sent out surveys gauging players' interest in NFTs and crypto. That was super exciting. But then just recently, we saw surveys like this sent out about the pricing of Overwatch 2 skins, which, as you can see here, part of that survey was just a simple table with multiple bundle options at various price points, which is
you saw that $30 for a skin.
The exact same formatting as this Diablo 4 survey. So my best guess is that yes, this is real. They do plan on selling everything mentioned in the survey. It's just at this point a matter of debate as to what the pricing will be. And then going forward, we will just have to wait and see what else they're going to ask money for, whether they're going to try to sell currencies, resources, inventory, and stash space. And don't forget, they sold stash space in Diablo 3. Reaper Souls gave you bonus shared stash.
Why would they not share stash space? Or what? Like they should sell that. Like if I was at Blizzard, I would tell them to sell it. Now for players, it's bad because allowing people to buy stash space effectively means that the developers no longer have to solve the problem with item bloat, right? Because now it becomes profitable for there to be item bloat. But the thing is, PoE already has, like, they will do, and I guarantee you this is what's going to happen, is that, like, Diablo 4 will have a lot of the same features that Path of Exile has, and they will, everybody in Diablo 4 will say, well, PoE has it, why is it okay for PoE to do it, but not Diablo 4? And so they're going to, like, basically anything that PoE has, you can pretty much expect that Diablo 4 will have it as well.
That's a thing they've already done. Or even character slots, like maybe you can only make 4 characters for free and then you have to pay for more. I'm sure we're going to be hearing soon enough, though, because there's already also been a ton of leaks out of testing.
PoE's free to play? Yeah, but, like, the thing is, people aren't going to give a shit about that. I think that it's very, like, you can say that, but it is very obvious that a game cannot exist forever based off of a box price. That's just the facts.
That is currently happening for Diablo 4. Which brings us to the next part of the video. Blizzard has begun friends and family testing for the game. According to
it'll be out very soon. People say I don't agree with me. You're not agreeing with me. I'm telling you what people are going to think. Now, you can clip this. Clip this right now. And if I'm wrong in a year from now and everybody is not okay with this, then I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. I really don't think so because I've seen it happen dozens of times over the last 15 years that I've played video games, right, online. I've seen it happen a long time. This is what I think is going to happen.
Jason Schreier, this started earlier in the month, and while under NDA, he said that it had been getting mostly positive buzz. Now, maybe unsurprisingly, some of Blizzard's friends and family members didn't quite grasp the concept of what an NDA was, and so now we've got a bunch of new information about the game. So for starters, there was a short clip released that showed the intro cinematic, as well as the login screen, and the character creator, during which the person recording said, "Bro, I really don't even know if I can even stream this." My bro. No. No, you cannot, but thank you for your sacrifice. We appreciate the information. Yeah. So the character creator had several preset options to choose from for face hair, accessories, and coloring. There appears to be no option to adjust character height or body composition, so it does seem that each class in the game will have their own distinct silhouettes. And then when finalizing your character, you are given the option to choose from normal, seasonal, or hardcore, which is similar to how things are done with Diablo 3. But then after you select that, you get to choose a starting difficulty. There was World Tier 1 called Adventurer, which was suggested for new players, and then World Tier 2 Veteran, which ramps up the enemy difficulty in exchange for better drops, experience, and gold. And then finally, there was an additional layer of choosing more or less guidance for the game's starting tutorial. Oh, and I am not actually going to show any of the leaked video or images here because it's a guaranteed way to get this video taken down. If you are interested, it's just a quick Diablo 4 alpha leak Google search away. Also, bless the people who leaked this information. Unfortunately, since there were watermarks with account identifiers plastered all over the content, whoever did so has almost certainly lost their access. I guess consider it a learning opportunity of what an NDA is. Now, as for what we saw here, there was nothing especially surprising in these leaks. The character creator was pretty straightforward, and and for me at least, not too important with how rarely we get a close-up look of our characters in top-down ARPGs. The thing that I am quite interested in, though, is this world tier system. Now, while you may just want to jump to the conclusion that this would function like it does in Diablo 3, where you pick your difficulty, the torment level as it's called, and that scales the challenges as well as the rewards, and then you launch the game and there you go. You have to remember the main difference here is that Diablo 4 is an open world MMO light, and you're going to see players running around as you move through the world. You'll see people farming mobs, doing quests, fighting bosses, participating.
I don't want it to be like in Diablo Immortal though. Like whenever you had like more than 2 people farming in a zone, you were just constantly fighting for respawns. I don't want to fight for respawns. It's fucking annoying. And also, it's either annoying for me or it's annoying for somebody else. Less density than Immortal. Yeah. Like, it sucks. It's a waste of time. And it makes you resent the people around you. Like, it's just, with WoW, I think it's perfect. Like, you can tag a mob, like 100% tag, you get the item, you get everything, right? Even if you do 1 damage and the boss has 1,000,000 health, you get all the credit. I think that's how it should be.
In public events, other players will be pretty much everywhere all the time, the one exception being some of the game's instance dungeons. Yeah. So with that in mind, I'm really interested to see how this world tier system plays out. I would have to assume that we will be placed in lobbies with people of the same tier, especially considering things like world bosses and public events, where the different difficulties presumably couldn't play together. Although it is possible, I do recall some games having done something along the lines of encounter scaling based on an individual player settings. So for example, like if I picked World Tier 2, maybe it takes like 100 fireballs for me to kill this world boss, but then someone comes along in World Tier 1 and they can kill the boss in 75 fireballs.
I'm just assuming that there's going to be different like layers or different channels or phases. So everybody that you see is in World Tier 1, 2, or 3 if you are in Tier 1, 2, or 3. It's like War Mode. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
We could technically still play together, and then just our rewards from that boss would be dictated by the tier that we're on. So I would get more gold and better loot drops. It could work, but it also sounds a little clunky. Like, would it really play out that the player with the higher difficulty is just straight up weaker, taking longer to kill a boss, or dying in fewer hits? I mean, I guess it makes sense. If you're on a higher difficulty, things are harder. And, you know, level scaling is one thing. We do know that level scaling will be in the game, but this world tier system or this difficulty setting, it seems a whole lot more complicated. So for that reason,
in my opinion, I don't think it's complicated at all. It is not complicated in any way in my mind. You just have everybody that is on, you know, like you want to look like normal, hell, and nightmare mode. Or normal, nightmare, hell, and inferno. Well, you just have 4 different fucking versions of the game that are running simultaneously. So, like, if you're playing on Hell mode, you're only going to see people that are on Hell mode. If you're playing on Inferno mode, you're only going to see people that are on Inferno mode. Because, yeah, if you're on Inferno mode and then somebody else is on Easy mode, well, can't you just have somebody kill all of the mobs for you really easily with Easy mode, and then you tag them and you get all the loot with Inferno mode level rewards? It's exploitable as fuck. So you can't have that. You have to have it to where it is the same for everybody.
Let's say they'll just keep it simple, and they will have separate instances based on the world tier that you select. Although that also makes things more complicated when it comes to playing with friends. I don't know. And I swear I heard there would be over 20. I actually heard there would be over 30 difficulty settings. I don't know if that means 30 world tiers, because that would be ridiculous. There's no way they've got 30 different hoppers for people. I don't know. I'm interested to...
I think 30 different difficulty settings, what that really does in my mind, because this is kind of what they did with Diablo Immortal, where like they had like Hell 1, Hell 2, and Hell 3, right? Is you don't get to feel the value of your character becoming more powerful. One of the big, really cool things in Path of Exile is being able to phase Shaper in 1 second. And you earn that. You earn that accomplishment. Like, you know, being able to one-shot the Phoenix or like do whatever the fuck, right? So making it to where like there's just all of these infinite scalars that just keep you in line to where like, oh, you can't get too far ahead, but you can't get too far behind. It just makes it to where what that really does is it takes agency away from the player. Because like now the player doesn't have the control over like effectively their character's power in the world. It's determined by some secondary system that is bestowed upon them. I don't like
I'm
it.
interested to see how this world tier thing plays out. Outside of that, there was also some leaked information around smart loot and restricted trading, although I do believe we've known about both of these for a while. I'm not sure.
I don't think that they should have smart loot. They should have maybe like while you're leveling, there should be like a 50% chance that you get more items with intellect than strength. And like all quest rewards should be intellect based, or you should be able to click an intellect based option. But I don't think that they should have smart loot that much. I don't think they should have restricted trading at all. You should be able to trade and do whatever the fuck you want, because that is why I really enjoy PoE. Because every map that I get something, I win. But whenever you have restricted trading, that takes a lot of potential W's and it turns them into L's. Because even if I get something that is a 9 out of 10 item, but like I remember like one time I got a really good helmet and I had like a double elder crafted, essence crafted helmet with like 30% more damage, and I got a helmet that was almost that good. And if I wasn't able to sell that helmet for like, it was like 10x or whatever the fuck that I got for it, the feeling that I would get for getting that helmet would be shitty. Because I would think, man, I just wasted my really good roll on something that I already had, and now I have to fucking wait for it to happen again. I think that trading is what made Diablo 3 vanilla fun, and it gave it longevity, and I think also trading is what gave Diablo 2 longevity. There should not be any trading restrictions whatsoever. And what Blizzard, whenever you're saying, oh, we have trading restrictions, what that says to me is that Blizzard is throwing in the towel because they're not going to manage the game. So if you're not going to have trading restrictions, get your botnets ready, because Blizzard's not going to invest money into customer service. Good for you. Oh, it's great for me. I mean, Quinn was right. I saw Quinn had a clip who was like, oh, if they don't have restricted trading, guess who's going to be the most geared person? They're like, who? Asmongold. Goddamn fucking right. And the thing is, that's not really true. Plenty of people will do the same stuff that I will do as well. But I'll get up there, okay? I'll say that. Arguing for no restriction because he wants handouts is autistic. Well, the thing is, like, I mean, I'm talking about, like, Diablo 3. Like, I played that shit whenever... Like, I had like $20 in my bank account. Like, I had nothing really... Well, I did have something in the game. It was Real Money Auction House. But, like, that was a more fun experience for me. I wasn't a streamer or anything back then.
If Blizzard ever confirmed smart loot, which is basically loot drops that are weighted to your class. So, for example, you won't get a bunch of druid staves if you're playing as a barbarian. I don't know if
it should be like a 50% more type situation. It shouldn't be like you only get warrior loot. Because I think one of the good things about Diablo 3, like this is like it's like a meta thing, is that you would get, let's say you would get Wand of Woe. That was a really, really good item. And you think to yourself, you know what? Maybe I'll try a CM wizard. Maybe I'll try a critical mass wizard. And I'll see what it's like, because you get a really good weapon. So I think that you should have drops that happen for classes that are not your own, because it creates a foray into trying that other class. You see what I'm saying?
Came out and explicitly said that that was going to be in Diablo 4, but it was a feature in Diablo 3, so I assumed as much. Limited trading, on the other hand, we have known about. Back at BlizzCon 2019, they touched on this, saying the idea is that we have 3 different types of tradable items. There's a class of items that can always be traded no matter what, and then we have a class of items that are tradable, say, one time. We are also thinking the highest quality, most powerful things in the game should be items you can't trade at all, that you have to earn yourself. You have to go do those endgame dungeons and kill monsters to get the loot. So these leaks coming out of the Friends and Family Alpha...
I think that's totally fine as long as the loot is deterministic. So, for example, let's say you have to kill Mephisto. Let's say Mephisto is somehow back in Diablo 4 and he's the hardest boss in the game, and that's all there is to it. And if you kill Mephisto, you get, what's the fucking chess piece? Tyrael's Might, I think that's what it's called, in Diablo 2, that's like super rare. Let's say you get Tyrael's Might, and you get Tyrael's Might, like, 1 out of like every 5 or 10 times you kill Mephisto. Well, I think that's totally fine if it's a locked item. But the problem is that whenever you have an entire fucking spectrum of loot drops, and then anything can drop from anything, then I think that's whenever the problem happens. I think deterministic loot makes restricted trading more okay to me. because it means that like the people that have the items earned those items for accomplishing specific things.
Is
That
like
would be the
limited
only case that
trading
I'd be okay
in
with
the test. That's not news, but this has brought back up the whole debate around smart loot and around limited trading. And that can be an entire video in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, the long and the short of it is really limiting trading. There's the arguments for it are that it's supposed to help combat bots and real money transactions where people spend money to trade items directly with other people using third-party sites. But then, of course, the big argument against it is that this is just implemented into games to pad out playtime, forcing players to grind things over and over again, just relying
I actually think it does the opposite. I think it does the opposite because, like, the difference is that, like, let's say in Path of Exile, you get to the point to where every single upgrade for your character is at least 4 Exalted Orbs, let's say. Most people, if they couldn't trade, would probably quit because they would know that they plateaued out. But if you can trade and buy those items, you're able to just keep going. You can just keep farming. You can just keep building up resources and then finally work towards those goals. So I actually think that allowing trading extends playtime by a tremendous amount for most players.
On the small percentage chance drops for certain items and not being able to engage with other people and have this like functioning.
It's also another thing, like trading does encourage grinding because like you'll get to the point where you realize, okay, like I got to this point. How many of you guys got to this point in Diablo 3? Okay, I have Witching Hour. It's primal. Or I have like an Ancient Witching Hour. And it has 49 out of 50% critical strike damage increase. I just need 1 point, and then I'm good. And you think to yourself, what are the odds of Witching Hour dropping? What are the odds of Witching Hour Ancient dropping? What are the odds of that roll happening? What are the odds of the other rolls being similar or equivalent to what I already have? You just do the math and you quit the game. That's what I do. I do the math. But if there's a way that I could get that, like I did get, like I remember I got a Cinder Swallow Flask and I went from like fucking 78% to 80%. I was like, I want to get it all the way. I want to get it perfect. I want to have a perfect one, and I can do that in that game. So it actually does encourage more grinding because you have a path to progression. No trading takes away the path.
Game player economy, pros and cons to both systems. Like I said, it could be an entire video in and of itself, but I just wanted to share with you those links, those leaks that yes, it looks like the smart loot drops and limited trading are in fact going to be in the game, at least as of the current build in the Friends and Family Alpha. Speaking of which, the existence of this Friends and Family Alpha pretty much confirms that we're probably going to be getting closed beta testing sometime soon. It's likely that they will be sending out just small pools of people. They're going to be sending out invites because Friends and Family typically in the past for Blizzard games have begun like a few months before closed betas started going out. So yeah, there is a decent chance playtests might actually be starting this fall for Diablo 4, which is pretty exciting. All of my concerns about the game and all my frustrations about the game, it all stems from an interest in the game, an interest in the franchise, and wanting to see how things play out. The monetization stuff, it is, like I said, really disappointing. It's really frustrating that they're going as far as they are. But on the flip side, at least
at least it's not pay to win. That's a good point. How would they combat third-party RMT, though? It's very simple. So if you see somebody who trades a Stone of Jordan, they just traded 35 Stones of Jordan to this new account that started playing 3 weeks ago. You do a check on the account that all of the Stones of Jordan got traded to, and you're like, okay, this isn't some streamer's account. There was no prior communication with the previous account. They're not on each other's friends list. This was the first interaction these two accounts had with each other, and he just happened to trade him 35 Stones of Jordan out of nowhere. I think this is RMT. Not streamer, it was free pass. Well, it's not about it being a streamer being a free pass. It's about being able to rule out something else. So, like, for example, if you had your friend trade you 35 Stones of Jordan, I think you should be able to completely do that because you're friends with each other and you should be able to trade gear back and forth. What I'm saying is that, like, you are ruling out, in the process of troubleshooting, the way that you troubleshoot and find the answer to something is you find what all the wrong answers aren't. So, like, you find out, like, is it because of this? No. Okay, rule that out. Okay, is it because of this? No, rule that out. Yeah, this is the way that you solve problems.
for now,
make
they
sense?
have lived up to their promise of keeping it cosmetic only, and the battle pass is just something they neglected to mention. Yeah, right.
Somebody said too many loopholes there, man. No, there's not. It's very common sense. Like, it's something that works 99.9% of the time. Too many loopholes there. Give me a loophole and I'll tell you how to close it. Because I know how to cheat in every fucking way, and I know how to detect it in every fucking way because I was the one doing the cheating. And I was thinking to myself, I hope they don't look at it from this perspective because I can't fucking do this. I can fucking guarantee you that you can figure it out 99.9% of the time, and the reason why they don't is because they're lazy and they want to save money. That's why. An RM tier becomes a streamer for a short period of time to pick up the stuff. Well, I think you can easily detect if that's happening too. I mean, again, so all of these theoretical problems are actually super simple. But the only reason that you guys are making them seem like they're problems is that you are assuming literally the dumbest person on the planet is reviewing the case. If you have representatives that understand the game, that are being well paid, like the people in Final Fantasy, like, it's like Soda does the name, right? The Drader Reg or whatever it was, right? And they're like, well, we know what you're doing, change your name. And he's like, what am I doing? You're like, come on. And they're like, okay, all right, it's fine. So you hire people that have experience, common sense, and a protocol, and you solve all of these problems. And you will never, by the way, is it worth it to have 1% of people, like a very small amount of RMT for the entire player base to be able to trade? Yes, I think so. Path of Exile has RMT. Every fucking game has RMT. I would rather have a very small but risky level of RMT and full trading than not have any trading at all. That's the way I see it. And you can't get rid of RMT either. Yeah, you're still going to have RMT. Of course, you get fed items. I thought this before you were born. I was getting items farming for myself before you were born. I don't want to hear about it.
Coincidence they neglected to mention, but if that is also cosmetic only, I guess they haven't lied about it. I guess they just they're putting on the extra layer of FOMO, like make sure you play every day so you can get enough experience to level the battle pass and get those cosmetic.
I think FOMO games are here to stay, like battle passes, dailies, etc. Every game wouldn't be adopting this if it didn't work. Every game does this. Every fucking game. So easy to RMT and PoE. Yeah, but is your experience ruined because somebody else is RMTing? I think that's the interesting question. I would say no.
And also, you probably want to spend the money because all the good stuff is locked behind that premium track. The top track is all garbage. You're wearing trash bags, basically. But keep in mind, when I talk about stuff like this and when I make these videos, going in on certain aspects of games, it's because I'm genuinely interested. There's so many games out there that I never talk about, I never cover, I don't care. So many games that do way worse than this that I don't spend time railing into because the expectation and
so we're not gonna get
my
a Tower
interest
Fantasy
level is
video.
too low. It doesn't matter. But the stuff that I'm interested in,
I understand.
like all the talk about the day before game and all the issues surrounding that potentially and stuff like this, it's because there's a level of interest. I am actively invested in how this thing turns out, for better or worse. I'll be here for the ride. So there you go. That is all the recent information about monetization, friends and family leaks, and all that stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, the talk, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
This was a great video. I really think this is awesome. I looked online to try to find some of this information. I didn't see it at all. This is some actual grade A, high quality fucking content for Force Gaming. I'm going to link the video. Give it a like. Give him a sub. We've watched a lot of his stuff before, and we continue to because it's fucking amazing. Yeah, there we fucking go, guys. Great video. Yeah, it's a great video. Like, it's a good breakdown. It's a good understanding. Obviously, I'm actually hoping and looking forward to whenever he potentially does a video talking a little bit more about, like, the pros and cons of each one of these things, especially with things like restricted trading, because I think it's something that's very important to be talked about with the community. Yeah, there you go, guys. This is exactly what I think everybody expected. And it's also what I said, and people that called me a doomer, I wonder what they're saying now. Well, now they're probably saying it's all, oh, guys, it's only a survey. They're not going to do this. And then, oh, well, it's only the release. It's different. They're not going to do this all the time. Well, yeah, but it's the beginning of the season. They're not going to do this all the time. Well, yeah, but every other game has this, so why not? Yeah, of course, right? They'll fix it in the beta. They'll fix it in the alpha. They'll fix it in the release. They'll fix it in the pre-release. They'll fix it in the head start. They'll fix it whenever the game actually goes live for everybody. They'll fix it on the first season. They'll fix it in the second season. There's the second season. They'll fix it on the fifth season. They'll fix it in the first expansion. They'll fix it in Diablo 5. They'll fix it in Diablo 5 alpha. You see what I'm saying? It's just a sex season. Yeah. Exactly, and my grandson will fix it. Maybe someday it will be fixed.